Hey guys, Tammy here, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips for a successful year in your child custody case. Now, it's New Year's and Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a very safe and wonderful New Year's Eve, very quiet, calm, or fun, depending on what avenue you chose. But New Year's comes sort of with like a clean slate feeling for a lot of people, and a lot of us make resolutions. Interestingly enough, I think the statistic is something like about 70% of resolutions have completely gone by the wayside by February, okay, just a few weeks into the new year. And I think many people don't even make it that far. So I'm going to give you 3 tips on creating some success in your child custody this year. And this is going to help you hopefully stick to them and not be one of those statistics, okay? So before we dive into this, let me just remind you, if you like my content, please hit like on this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. That way you get notified as new videos are released. Please feel free to share this on social media. If you're going into another year of this custody nightmare, so to speak, then you know how difficult it can be and you know how hard the information is to find. So please feel free to share. When we're going through things like this in our life, it's a season, okay? And it can feel like this is how it's going to be forever. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other night about how, we kind of get in these places where we're just kind of good or bad, right? Feeling like this is how things are always going to be. And oddly enough, a few months before my husband passed, I actually remember having a conversation like this with one of my friends and saying, we take this for granted. We think this is how our life's always going to be, but it isn't. Change is the one constant in life. And of course, I didn't know a very large, very devastating change was shortly coming my way, but it definitely did. And when you're in this kind of custody situation, the good thing I can tell you is that if you're in the battle, it won't always be this way. It will get better. It will improve. Time will kind of move you through it. You'll get through it somehow one day at a time, right? But I want you to be as successful as you can possibly be in this in the new year. And one of the attorneys that that my husband had cases against over the years, one of the things he always used to say is that at the end of the year, he sits down and looks at his caseload and he chooses the 3 cases that he really wants to get wrapped up. And he focuses on getting those 3 cases done before the end of the new year, if he possibly can, so that he can go into the new year with a little bit of stress relief. That's a very small thing, but it can be very impactful. And so I want you to apply that principle to this situation. So that's my first tip is start small. Okay. We want this major change. We want everything to change. But a lot of times that little change or that big change starts with a small kernel. Okay. And we get in our head that, oh my gosh, this person's a narcissist. It's overwhelming. They're so difficult, all these things. I'm never going to be able to solve this problem. I can't change them. I can't, so I might as well just give up. No, you're going to start small in one area. And a lot of times the most difficult area for a large majority of people is the communication, the messages back and forth. If that's you, I would encourage you to maybe take a look at that. Start with the thing that's most problematic. Are you having the most problem communicating? Are you having the most problem drawing the boundary? Is your child struggling? Maybe we need to get the kid into therapy. Pick one specific area instead of looking at your child custody case in totality and feeling overwhelmed. Pick one small specific thing that you can do something to improve it. And the communication is a great place. And I think that most clients are frankly amazed most of the time at what a few little tweaks to the way that they're handling the communication can do in the other person and how it can really shift the narrative kind of that's happening between the two of you. So it can be really, really impactful. So you just want to pick one small area where you're going to start. Okay. That's tip number one. Tip number two, try to think positive about it. Like, you have to think positively. Most people, again, come at this from a very negative state where we're going, oh, this person's never going to change. Oh, this person's difficult. Oh, this person's this, and all these things. But what if you said to yourself, hey, what if I actually take steps to change the communication? And what if it helped? What if things got even 15% better? What if things improved slightly? Isn't that a good step towards success? I think it is. I mean, you don't come out the gate and accomplish 100% of everything straight off the bat, right? So we're looking for areas that we can improve in. But if you're already telling yourself in your head that you can't do it, or you can't affect a change or anything, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're expecting that person to react negatively, behave poorly, be difficult, all these things. And guess what? They do. You know, what you focus on expands. And so if what you're focusing on is the negative, that's what's going to expand. You really have to get your mind in a place where you're going, okay, look, I'm going to try these techniques. I'm going to see if things improve. I believe they're going to. I believe that I can do this. I think I can be consistent. I think I can communicate in this way. I think I can cause the other person to become more cooperative. All of those types of things to help you build some momentum. I had a client earlier who they were arguing about vacation. He was saying like, oh, she's never going to agree. She's never going to agree. She's never going to agree. And she came back and she did agree, but she had couple little caveats, before and after of extra time and all this kind of stuff that she wanted. And he felt really frustrated. But the thing is that to me, it's like, okay, we've been working for months with this really difficult person. And just the fact that she actually agreed to the exact dates that you requested is a huge win. It's a huge step forward. But I think he was very focused on her little conditional things before and after that she was wanting. So he felt frustrated that he always has to, it's tit for tat, right? You have to give something to get something. And that can be true sometimes. But again, I think focusing on the positive part of, hey, I actually got this person to agree to something. This person who hasn't agreed to pretty much anything in the last 2 years of going through this, right? But now we've actually gotten them to agree. Progress, thinking positively. Thirdly, I think the thing that you want to do is kind of focus on what is your goal. Let's be clear about what the goal is, because if you don't know what the goal is, you can't measure it, right? And what gets measured improves. So what you want to do is set a goal of, okay, my goal is to have no messages from me that are emotionally reactive. Or my goal is to get input from an outside third party before I send any message. Or my goal is to not check my co-parenting app more than one time per day because that's how I'm going to manage the stress of it. Okay. Little things like that where it can seem, again, sometimes to us, it's a small thing, but honestly, it can make a huge improvement in the stress level in your life. And it can make a huge improvement in your co-parenting relationship. Just these small little tweaks that we can do. Again, I think we're often trying to take the whole big picture and we want a magic wand to just whoop, fix it all at once, right? But that's not really how life works. That's not how life works in any other area. So why are we expecting it to work like that in our custody? Pick one thing, focus on it, start small, think positive about where you're going. And then when you accomplish that small goal and you're doing it consistently, consistency is the key. You're doing it consistently without having to think about it or have this little check mark you do every day, then you're ready to go on to move on to the next thing. And then you just layer good thing after good thing after good thing. And that's when you start to shift the momentum in your custody case. So if you'd like to learn more about how you can do this, how to turn the tide in your own case, how to lower your stress level, and how to communicate better with your narcissistic co-parent, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is information on that page where you can learn more about my coaching services and potentially book a phone call if you are interested in one-on-one premium coaching services. Okay. Happy New Year again. And I hope you guys have a great week.